In those days, Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch of Elasar, Chaldor-Leomar, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, waged war against Barak, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemember, king of Zeboim, as well as the king of Bela, that is Zoar. All of these came as allies to the valley of Siddim, that is the Dead Sea. They were subject to Chaldor-Leomar for 12 years, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chaldor-Leomar and the kings who were with him came and defeated the Rephahim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in Shavakariathaim, and the Hortites in the mountains of Seir. As for the El Paran by the wilderness, they came back to invade the En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and they defeated all the territory of the Amalekites, as well as the Amorites who lived in Hazon Tamar. And the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zebulun, the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and lined up for battle in the valley of Siddim against Chaldor-Leomar, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim contained many asphalt pits, and as the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some fell into them, but the rest fled into the mountains. The 4 kings took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food and went on. They also took Abram's nephew Lot and his possessions, for he was living in Sodom, and they went on. One of the survivors came and told Abram the Hebrew, who lived near the oaks belonging to Mamre the Amorite, the brother of Eshcol and the brother of Aner. They were bound by treaty with Abram. When Abram heard that his relative had been taken prisoner, he assembled his 318 trained men born in his household, and they went in pursuit as far as Dan. And he and his servants deployed against them by night, attacked them, and pursued them as far as Hobath, in the north of Damascus. He brought back all the goods, and also his relative Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the other people. After Abram had returned from defeating Chaldor-Leomar and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shiva, that is the king's valley. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest to the God Most High. He blessed them and said, Abram is blessed by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and I give praise to God Most High, who has handed over your enemies to you. And Abram gave him 1/10 of everything. Melchizedek is a mysterious biblical character who is described as both a king and a priest. After Abraham had defeated several other kings to rescue his nephew Lot, Melchizedek blessed him. Abraham gave 1/10 or tithe of all he had to Melchizedek. See Genesis 14, 17 through 20. Melchizedek is only mentioned one more time in the Old Testament, in Psalm 110:4, where it says, "You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek." With such scant mention, it may be surprising that Melchizedek features prominently in the book of Hebrews. Why should such an obscure character get this attention? It's all about Jesus. Because Melchizedek appears out of nowhere in the life of Abraham. In the Hebrew writer in chapter 7 says he is without genealogy and a priest forever, just as Melchizedek's superiority was shown when Abraham made tithes to him. So Christ is superior to the priests in the law of Moses. Melchizedek came along before Levi, whose tribe served as priests in the law of Moses. Levi's great-grandfather Abraham already submitted to his priest Melchizedek. Thus, Abraham's line, Israel, had already recognized the superiority of Melchizedek to the Levites. Rather than seeing Jesus as a Levitical priest, we should respect him as a priest of the Melchizedekian order. The scriptures do not report Melchizedek's death, so the Hebrew writer playfully builds on Melchizedek's non-death to point to Jesus' eternal priesthood. Now, there have been many of those priests since death prevented them from continuing in office, but because Jesus lives forever, he has a permanent priesthood. Hebrews 9:23 through 24. All institutions under heaven, even the law of Moses, are inferior to Jesus, and all will ultimately submit to him. No government entity, military power, or state institution deserves our devotion, but Jesus does. The Bible even says that the most fundamental of institutions, the family itself, does not supersede Jesus' claim on our lives. For Christ to be our Melchizedekian priest means that we love him most and kneel only to him.